I came to UK when I was 20 years old. I did not have a way of funding of coming to UK. As we bought the second business, I dropped to 3 days to 1 day of consultancy.
What were your influences from your mum and dad?
Asked me to balance the passbook. So you deposit the money, then you balance your book, how to manage money. That was the other thing she taught me.
Developing their business and what things hold them back.
AI is changing the landscape of business right now. The fear of failure is the one thing which stops you. Have you looked at that as a risk for your business, and what is the plan? And all those things form a part of the valuation. It's not just your EBITDA. And I've kind of got a formula going. What the bold factor is basically a sum of the risks you take and the experimentations you do minus.
Great. Gary, thanks for joining us on the ownership journey. I'll try and summarize who you are, but I think it's much better coming from you. So you're obviously hugely experienced in real estate and now an entrepreneur. Do you want to give a quick summary of what you're doing now and your background?
Thank you for having me. This is quite interesting being interviewed by you. Thank you. Thank you again. So I'm an engineer by profession. I did my engineering in India, in Mumbai. I come from a suburb called Mulund. I came to UK when I was 20 years old. I did not have a way of funding of coming to UK or any other country for that sense, and I had to apply for scholarships to get here. Got here, 2 bags, 2 numbers, 1 for the place where I was staying, which was a youth hostel, and 1 for the university, the admissions lady at the university. So that was my first step into a country which was unknown. The culture was unknown. From there on, I've done numerous jobs, internships, worked my way up, and now alongside you, we have co-founded Iolas, and we have started our journey in entrepreneurship together, and now own a portfolio of businesses which we run. So we are bringing people on their journey as well. So yeah, it's been quite a journey to be here.
How many years did you spend in kind of the corporate world, like as an employed job after your university?
I did a couple of years of work in India as well. I came to UK for my master's. So altogether, I would say 17 years or so or more. Yeah.
And then
I did like 3 jobs at one time when I was in India.
And then since then, what, 7, 8 years of self-employment, entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, I can't draw as straight a line as you can of the jump into entrepreneurship, as you know, because for me, the switch was a bit gradual. I kept my job until I started 5 days in the last employment I had when we first bought our business. Then when I thought, oh, actually, this might be something, I dropped to 4 days. Then as we bought the second business, I dropped to 3 days, to 2 days, to 1 day of consultancy. And then I transitioned into complete entrepreneurship, as it were.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like, a lot of people ask me about like how
the transition.
how did you transition? So for me, it was not jump ship, close shop and employment, and I went straight deep into owning a business. It was a bit more gradual.
Yeah.
That is because the kind of a person I am as well. I need to test, experiment, and be sure a bit. And before I go all in, I have to kind of. I was just talking to someone just now, and I always talk to our son about this as well. Be a scientist, experiment. So yeah.
And when you were growing up, what were your influences from your mum and dad in terms of business or entrepreneurship or the jobs that they had?
Very different. So this is the thing. Until we started our own journey, I hadn't thought of this before. I had not joined the dots. I felt like I was always trained to be, and I say this a lot, is be on a conveyor belt of, having a job, having the best job with the best company, job for life, long term, getting pension. So that's drilled into me in my DNA effectively. So I never thought about this until we started our own journey, is what I'm trying to say. And then I've joined the dots in the past. And the dots are, my dad had a few challenging experiences with business ownership. So with his you are listening to this as a child. So with his experiences and failed partnerships in the past, it kind of created a stigma in my head. Maybe business is not for me, so job is safe, kind of thing. So we'll talk about probably safety and breaking that down a bit later perhaps, but that job is safe, it's secure, and that's for us. Business is not for me. However, my mum is an entrepreneur and didn't realize it at the time, but she did a course, beauty therapy, when I started going to school, and she was like, I have time on my hands, what do I do? And started doing therapies for her friends without charging in the beginning, and then started charge people were like, you are really good, you should charge. And she built her business. She was successful. She could have, launched her salon and made a lot of money, but she didn't do that. She kept it small because she really wanted to focus on me as well and give me time. But she was an entrepreneur. She started it from scratch. She had an amazing clientele who, by the way, are still her friends, who will still, some of them will still be like, oh, we would really like you to start again, kind of thing. She doesn't now. But I learned some very important lessons about people management from her. And I didn't know this until, as I said, I joined the dots quite recently. And those were, she would have people come for their appointments. And I was a teenager, a stroppy, angry, revolting teenager. And people would come and I would open the door or answer the phone call. And sometimes I was not in the mood and I'd be rude. And my mom would take me to the side and be like, this is not how you do things. So she will tell me how to present myself, how to speak to people, how to ask them how day was, offer water, offer food, if they're like, just how you treat someone else. And which is, I feel like, is the most important thing, is looking someone in the eyes and being able to present yourself, even in business buying, even with managing teams. And those were the most important lessons I learned from her that I now am able to appreciate quite a lot. So that's who was training me in a way.
And presumably some absolute basics around collecting money and payments and, as you say, like how you deal with people at the beginning, at the end.
Yeah, customer service, client care, and a lot of the businesses we are involved in are very much focused on people. We are in the service industry, and those lessons are absolute valuable nuggets for me to take down. With regards to how to manage money, that was the other thing she taught me. I had my own bank account. And she would send me with small amounts of money, ask me to balance the passbook, is what we would call it. So you deposit the money, then you balance your book and see how much money you have got. So that awareness of saving, of how to manage money, was all done by her. So sometimes I would collect money on her behalf if she was not at home. The clients would pay money and I would write it down in her notebook. This lady paid this much money, kind of thing. So yeah.
So you had a very successful career in real estate, not delving into working for a few like really big brands opening stores. And you talked about it's not clear cut. So what does entrepreneurship look like or feel like to you in a business, and for other people who are employees, like what does that feel and look like?
Thanks for asking this question, because this is one of my passions to talk about. Is I feel, you look on Google and stuff as well, entrepreneurship is if you look at the formula for entrepreneurship or an explanation, it's all related to business. Actually, what I have realized, now I have done both. So I have one foot in both, as I might say, which is a privilege to be taken with great care. And what I've realized is that actually what we call entrepreneurs is a thing, but if I may, I would say entrepreneurship is a way of life. And it's not just for business ownership. It's not just for a scale up or a startup or a solopreneur. Entrepreneurship is a way of thinking which can be applicable in a business setup as well. And what I mean by that is I have been lucky enough to be working in teams who were growing, in companies who were scaling up, which meant I have, in all the companies I've started, I have joined the team when there was next to nothing in form of systems. So I have been thrown in the deep end, and I have realized I had to learn the skills to survive. And that is the entrepreneurial way of thinking, where you think of what am I trying to achieve? Who are the people around me? Who are my stakeholders? Who are their stakeholders? What is the bigger picture? And then figuring out how you're going to work within your zone of terror and develop that. And that is what gives you growth even within a job. It's not just for a business. It can be applied in your space of work for growth, for efficiencies, for development. And I've kind of got a formula going, which is like, if you look for an entrepreneurial success formula online, it says vision, goals into consistency. And that's what entrepreneurial success is. For me, there is a bit of it, and then there is something which escalates you to the next level, and that's the bold factor. And for me, what the bold factor is basically a sum of the risks you take and the experimentations you do, and minus the fear of failure. So these are the things which stop. Fear of failure is the thing which is like a resistance to the other things which can catapult you. So if you're doing your vision goals and consistently delivering them, I think there is a lot of research on it and experimentation people have done, and you will see that it will give you momentum. But what is the thing which really escalates you further is this bold factor, is are you taking risks? Are you approaching the hierarchy, asking them about the business vision, asking them about where the money is coming from? How can you form a part of that vision? Are you experimenting enough with different tools? And are you taking enough risk? And the fear of failure is the one thing which stops you most of the times. And I've noticed that time and again, where people are thinking, what will others say? And what the societal pressure is real. So that's the one thing which I feel like this formula applies on both settings. It's a work in an organization as well as a business ownership.
Well, we'll come back to this formula. You've also done a lot of mentoring in different capacities. Do you want to talk about some of the mentoring that you've done across the years?
Yeah, so I believe that when I was coming through the ranks, I have had some amazing cheerleaders in my life, and without them, I wouldn't be here. And it is my way of passing the baton, as it were. And earlier, it used to be a lot of irregular mentoring, where someone would ask for a chat or come and approach me with a problem or something. It has become a bit more formal. In the last few years, I'm a mentor on the Circle Partnership. So we are allocated a mentee every year, and you go on a journey with them every year. So,
which is in the property industry?
Yes, it is in the real estate industry for mid-level management ladies who are looking for that next step up, or what is the plan for the year and so on. So yeah, it's been quite amazing to work with these women and figure out what is holding them back from taking those steps and working with them on delivering the vision.
Fear of failure is obviously a big one for people. Is that, what are you finding from the people that you work with are the key things that are holding people back, and why?
I mean, I can give my example as well sometimes, and I have to. But one of the top ones would be posting on LinkedIn.
Putting yourself out there.
Putting yourself out there. So I've like, you will see that I'm posting a lot on LinkedIn as well, because I do believe in walk the talk, whatever the saying is. So I'm putting myself out there as well. So when I tell my mentees that LinkedIn is the reality of today's world, and what I mean by that is, if you're going for an interview, they're going to look you up on the LinkedIn. They're going to scan you, see what you think, what you say, and so on. So creating a profile for yourself, which is very key. You're going to have to put yourself out there sometimes as well. You're going to have to ask for that one meeting with senior leadership and put yourself out there. And it feels risky. And they might say no, that sorry, I'm too busy. Or they might say, do you know what? Amazing. Let's have this catch up over a coffee. Yeah? I don't have a lot of time. Will 15 minutes do? Grab it. And ask them questions. And most of the time people want to tell their story. So I would always promote that you need to reach out to the senior leadership, understand about the business. Why are you just understanding about your work in that context? Why are you not understanding about the bigger picture in the business context? And the fear of failure is, what if they say no? And they'll just say no, right? And then you move on. And then you ask again after 6 months or 3 months. And
then in terms of training, so obviously you trained as an engineer, did specialised in kind of opening stores, but your remit was very broad. How have you utilised training, coaching, coaches or expertise in the last kind of 7-8 years? Not specific people, but just more as an approach to, rather than learning something yourself, have you utilized external expertise to try and accelerate bits of
all the
things
time
that you're trying to do?
All the time. So, I mean, how many examples do I give? I don't ski. So when I am forced to ski, I don't try to do it by myself. I use a trainer to help me, because they will give me some tips. They will show me which is the right route to take, so I don't end up in a ball somewhere, or don't take 10-15 people down with me as I cascade through life. I have, I'm talking about my hobbies, but I paint quite a lot. I've painted. I've done a lot of classes in my lifetime, but I decided I want to learn watercolors. So I could have done it myself, but I did approach a teacher to show me, and it was one of the best things I could have done. And I've learned business buying from a teacher. When I transferred into buying businesses, that was the first thing I did. And you know this because the amount of conversations we had over the satellite phone when you were rowing across the Atlantic, and we laugh about it now, but when I told you that I'm going to do a course on buying a business, and you were like, what is wrong with you? And by the way, for the viewers, we used to get 4 minutes every day, and I used to drop these bombshells on James, and James used to have 24 hours of a lot of thinking time on his hands, and then come back to me going, what are you thinking? Yeah, but I did the course, and for me it is someone showing you the way, giving you some shortcuts, also sharing their mistakes. So you learn from those mistakes faster. So you are not having to do you have to make your own mistakes as well, but at least you get some signposts along the way for the route to take, and then you're free to go off-piste if you wish, using the skiing analogy a bit, given that we are in January. So yeah, for me, it is having someone to hold your hand in the beginning or through the process, because what we have learned through the period of time is incredible. The learnings we have had.
So maybe sticking on the business owner point, then what do you see that works for them when they're developing their business, and what things hold them back when they kind of start to get into the latter part of their career and perhaps they're thinking about retirement? Like, what having spoken to probably hundreds of business owners, where do you see them winning or potentially leaving some value off the table?
There are a few ways of answering this. So I'll take one part of it, which is for business owners. One of the things I've noticed is they're passionate about doing something, found something which the client really loves. And most of the business owners we have worked with, as you may attest to, James, they have found a solution for the client. The client keeps on coming back for that solution. And it's a brilliant deliverable. The person who started the business is passionate to sell this to the client. They're company facing, client facing. They're out there. And then when it starts scaling up, then you start getting the HR, the finance, and and the life you can see is slowly drained out of them because all they want to do is sell that product. Because they know, and this is for me as well, by the way, I'm a real estate person. If you put me in front of client, I will solve all their, I get into a project. So if you take me for a client meeting, oh my God, I'll be very strategic with them and solving all their issues and stuff. So we love doing that. But then there is the reality of running a business, which is when you're scaling up, there are people, there are contracts, there's marketing, sales funnels, leads, you name it, all the different layers start coming. And these people are like rabbit caught in headlights sometimes. And so I've seen that. And some people who have managed that really well then go to the next level, which is they run a successful business over the period of time and they come to an end of the time and they are like, we want to pass this legacy on to someone. And who is that next person? We have got an amazing team. We want to make sure that they're looked after. But who do we pass the baton on to? And that has happened quite a few times as well. So there are two types I've seen. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I don't know if you agree, but I'd say more often than not, as you say, business owners have been around for a while because they're very client focused and selling, but both and delivering a great product and service for a client. That piece around passing on legacy and also readiness for exit, like mentally, I think that's a really interesting topic because I can't think of many examples where it's been as well thought through or planned.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not clear.
As they would have wanted, perhaps, in the beginning.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we have been on those journeys with them, haven't we? With so many people where they start with one outcome in their mind, and then actually when you break it down and you go through the process, it's a completely different outcome. Some will say we don't want a name change, we want the complete thing to stay as is. Some will say we don't care, all we want is to cash out and go. Actually, when you start talking about it, that's not what they want. They're really attached to the name. So it's really like, and also it depends on what they have been sold, because a lot of them would have spoken to a business agent, sales broker, yeah, and they would have shown them a shiny number, and a lot of the small to medium sized businesses, the valuations can be tricky because it depends. The valuation is a great word because people see value in different ways, and so it's not just the number. And I think the way the brokers deal with some of them anyway, so I don't want to annoy people, but it's more about you'll get millions, but actually have you got your business ready for sale? Do you have a team who can run without you? Do you have a brand presence? Do you have a list of clients who keep on coming to you? Are your processes running well? Are you looking at innovation? Are you a forward-looking business? There is another thing we haven't touched on yet is, AI is changing the landscape of business right now. Have you looked at that as a risk for your business, and what is the plan? And all those things form a part of the valuation. It's not just your EBITDA.
No. Just your thoughts on a good lifestyle and entrepreneurship means. Like, I think both of us work hard, so it's how do you set the boundaries? How do you decide? How do you balance between different competing things? But maybe just touch on people first and the pros and cons and what the thought process is between being employed, being an entrepreneur in business, being an entrepreneur having your own business, being an entrepreneur buying a business. From your experience.
Yeah. So from my experience, when I left being an employee to fully being a business owner, the biggest thing was security of salary. It was no one is, you are not pointing to anyone else for money not being in your bank. You are responsible for this. So the buck stops with me here. That was the biggest thing. And to overcome that was, like, again, as I said, who has been conditioned to think about employment for her entire life, was a big thing for me when we talk about entrepreneurship or being the master of my destiny in a way. The pros, yes, I do have flexibility of deciding how I spend my time. Now learning more and more that it is more value adding. My time is more about value adding than actually doing. It's a different way of thinking, but that comes with time. I think that comes with a lot of senior leadership will in corporate world will have the same thing. With regards to the cons of being an entrepreneur, the other pros are obviously, after this I have to go pick up my little one from school, so I'm able to do that. And however, I do feel like even in employment since COVID, a lot of employers have become that flexible. And I know a lot of senior leaders in our teams are parents, and they will say that, sorry, I can't attend this meeting, I have to go pick up my child, which we are okay with, kind of thing, and we have been okay. I think the cons which people don't talk mostly about, which I'm very vocal about, is it's always running in your mind. I mean, I was with someone out for lunch, and we were talking and we both were thinking of different ideas for our work. You can't stop it. I am making food, making dinner, and I will have an idea, a penny drop, and I will have to, I'm an Indian, so I make rotis, and my son loves rotis. So the other day, I literally had to turn off the gas, wash my hands, and go and make a note in my notepad because I'll forget that penny drop moment and then come back. So that's the bit which sometimes annoys me. I mean, you and I, we have had conversations in a supermarket. You're shopping and you're like, hey, have you replied to that email? Oh, no, I haven't. And what do you think about that? And we next thing we know, we are having like a full-blown strategy meeting in aisle number 4 of Tesco or whatever. So yes, you have flexibility, but also at the same time, you end up thinking about it all the time. And any business owner who is telling you otherwise is lying. That's what I think, because anyone I have met, it's your baby. It's you want it to succeed, you want it to do well, and it comes with a lot. Once you start employing people as well, it comes with so much responsibility. I'm responsible for X number of mortgages, for example, and that is, with the great power comes great responsibility. You can't take that lightly.
Great. I think we'll probably do another episode at some point, but thinking about entrepreneurship lifestyle, we need to stop there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.